This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our Farming Simulator 22 map revisit. Today we're going to relook at the BallySpring map, this time for all platforms. But before that, this video is brought to you by Will Houseman and E10 Marin. Thank you for being farm barons. So as I just said, the BallySpring map is now released for all platforms. You're going to be able to find it over the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And this map has been around for PC players for 6 or 7 months, or maybe a little bit more. When I first did the video on this, it was released on a third-party website, and it had some issues. I addressed those issues. I talked about those issues in the map video. Overall, I think I gave it a score of 3.25 out of 5, mostly because of some of the items that we talked about in the video. Since then, this map has gone through several iterations and 2 additional releases. Just last month, this map was released on the Giants Mod Hub, but it was once again for PC only. I did not do a video for that one because I felt it was very, very similar to the initial release. Fast forward to toward the end of July 2023, BallySpring is back, this time with an all-platform cross-play release. And due to popular demand by you all, the viewers and commenters, I have decided to just go ahead and kind of revisit the map in another video. So let me read you the description. Welcome to BallySpring, a fictional Irish map based in the west of Ireland with 172 fields, mainly grassland with some arable fields. There are 10 farmyards to choose from, highly customizable map with all farm buildings, walls, hedges, fences, and yard clutter, etc. removable. Now, as a caveat, that is one of the big things that I took hits on with respect to the first time I looked at the map, is everything other than the hedges were permanently affixed to the map, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of the hedges either. I now have an idea on how to do that. I want to demonstrate that here in a little bit. Once you start in either Farm Manager or Start from Scratch modes, you do not own any land, so you won't be able to interact with any of the objects until you purchase the land. All gates on the map are open by default. This will allow you to enter the fields for completing contracts, and you can open and close the gates once you own the land. The open animal pastures on the map have been placed with a marker to show the size when placing. After placement, you can get rid of the marker by walking up to the sign and left-clicking the mouse. This map includes custom animals, including bulls, calves, goats, ducks, and more. The goats will give you milk, Hereford cows alongside of Angus cows, custom traffic, alien gems, left-hand drive traffic, Irish number plates, distributed simulations, seasonal growth plan with grapes, olives, sugarcane, and cotton removed, relight installed, custom sounds, collectibles, road network that has been built into Blender. All hedges have collisions. Hedges can be removed with a chainsaw. Walk side to side at the hedge until you see the green ring appear and cut the hedge. Remove walls, fences. Press O at the object to remove. Productions and sell points. Precision farming ready with realistic soil map. Most things work only after you buy the land. This map also has some required mods, and we will be talking about those here in a minute. In addition to those required mods, we are going to be using the mods we typically use when we take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. In addition to that, we have the really fillable tanks, the sawmills pack, the self-made cow shed, the self-made pigsty, as well as the slurry buying station. All of those are the required mods. I will tell you, if you load this map up in Farm Manager mode or Start from Scratch, as the description said, you do not own any land. All of the farms are built out exactly how you're going to see them here in New Farmer mode, with the exception you do not have any machinery at the start. Now this map includes 10 farms that are all pre-built. So in Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, you basically have your choice of 10 different areas that you may wish to start in at as well. Another difference that you will find here with this map as compared to the original video is the original video, there were over 10 animal areas pre-placed. Now there are only 6. So there is some headroom for console players to be able to place down additional animal areas, whereas previously you would have to use a mod in order to put down some additional animal pens. Let's go ahead and take a look at that PDA, because I tell you, 172 fields on a map this size is quite an accomplishment. So there we have our PDA. If we take a look at our lands area, you'll see we start out by owning farmland ID 40. That includes the main farm and several meadows around it. That can be bought for $596,000. In addition to that, we have a BGA, which is located here at farmland ID 104. And, well, it can be bought for $0. So let's just go ahead and do that. In addition, we have the ability to pretty much buy any other piece of land on the map, including the town area, which is located right here, which is also where we're going to find our vehicle shop. Now, as far as alternate farms available, we have a farmland up here in the northwest corner. It is going to be tied to farmland ID 8, and the farmhouse is way up here in the northwest. That can be bought for $102,000. Farmland 15 has another farm bought for $172,000. Farmland ID 60 has an additional farm that can be bought for $400,000. Farmland ID 70 has a farm for $169,000. Farmland ID 27 for $376,000. Farmland ID 90 for $653,000. Farmland ID 76 for $92,000. And then lastly, Farmland ID 103 for $346,000. This map does include all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22 that could be planted on this map. And that is an interesting caveat that we're going to get to here in a minute. If we go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen, we can take a look and see how large each particular farmland is. If the farmland included any field, what field or fields are included. And then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us? As you can see, lots of these farmlands are going to include multiple fields. And as such, we are soon going to take a look at our field calculator screen. And the field calculator screen is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. Take a look at our field calculator screen. You can see we own fields 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, and 68 at the start. A lot of those fields are relatively small, 0.29, 0.54, and 0.95 hectares, respectively, for three of the smallest fields. And then the largest one is 1.46 hectares in size. Taking a look at the other buyable fields, you see that we have many fields that are anywhere between 2 hectares or less. A substantial number of these fields are less than 1 hectare in size. This map is going to be ideal for small machinery and at the most medium-sized machinery. In addition to the fact that you've got some narrow lanes to drive through, you're definitely going to want to kind of play it on the smaller side if you were me. Let's go and take a look at our custom soil map. Unlike the first video where the entirety of the map was silty clay, now we've got a interesting combination of soil. The significant western part of the map and southern part of the map is still silty clay. We do have a rather large splotch over here where we have the 30s, the 40s, 70s, and some of the 80s as far as field count goes, where we have some sandy loam. Our starting farm and our starting fields are going to be loamy sand. And then we've got a nice little patch of loam up there in the northeast. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have a custom crop counter, as the description said, and that custom crop counter is excluding sugarcane, cotton, grapes, and olives from the growth and harvest schedule. Now, we all know that you may or may not choose to play with the crop counter, so it is important to notice here in a little bit, if we turn crop growth off, will we still be able to sell these particular crops? Now, one thing that I do find interesting is grapes. I kind of assumed grapes would be kind of universally growable and harvestable. I mean, given the fact that we get wine from grapes, and I kind of thought wine was a universal thing. But maybe not. I really don't know. I haven't been to Ireland. I don't know much about Irish agriculture. Taking a look at our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell most, but not all of our crops. In fact, as I kind of alluded to, grapes, we're missing. We can sell olives, and we also have the ability to sell our sugarcane and cotton. Now, what's really interesting is I went back and watched my original video on this map, and we could sell grapes there. So I think something got kind of messed up in some of the iterations, and hopefully we will see the map get updated. Hopefully we will see grapes get added back, because they were at one point in the map as far as a sell point. As we continue to move down, we do have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, as well as our silage, hay, straw, and grass. In addition, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game production items. And then as we continue to move down through our production items and get down into our platinum expansion, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our platinum expansion production items as well, which is always a good thing to see, because you know what? If you invested in that DLC, you might want to put down some production. You might want to be able to sell it without having to put down an additional sell point. In addition, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, you will be able to sell your separated manure. Taking a look at our starting fleet, the main starting farm has all owned equipment. None of it is leased, but some of it is fairly well used, and as such has kind of some low values to it. Needs a little bit of maintenance as well. Taking a look at our animal pen, we have 2 cow pastures on our owned land at the start in new farm mode. We have a large open cow pasture and a self-made cow shed. You can see that we are supporting calves in the large open cow pasture. Then we have some heifers in our cow shed here at the main farm. We do have contracts available on the map. We do have production, although we do not own any production chains at the start. And this map is making use of the Elm Creek collectibles. Let's take a look at build mode before we move on to bigger and better things. This map does have several buildings that we can put down here in the sheds area that are included with the map. In addition, we do have some required mods that also are going to be including some buildings. So here we have the self-made cow shed that has some manure heaps and a pigsty with a manure heap. Got some custom containers that are again part of the required mods and map, as well as a lift master for our tools. Then we do have several custom farmhouses and a sleep trigger. This one is my maybe personal favorite. We got a little bit of treehouse farmhouse. We do have some custom production also available on the map. We have a custom sawmill, and we have then a custom selling point in a carpentry facility. Standard greenhouses, orchards, and generators. We have several custom animal pens that we can also put down. And as the map author said, you'll see that we do have kind of this blue background. It's strobing. Be careful. Kind of seizure warning. It's strobing. So the idea is to place this down, right? You get an idea of how big it's going to be. And then you can go ahead and place it down. And then once you place it, you can go over to it. There's going to be a white post. Go up to that white post and click on it. And then you're going to be able to make that kind of flashing background go by. But what's useful is you now know how big the pen is, where the animals are going to walk, and you can go and kind of square that up with either a fence or a wall or whatever. So we have custom areas for cows, horses, pigs, sheep, chickens. We have lots of decorative items as well. Lots of fences, walls. We do have a grill. We've got to have an outhouse if we're going to have a tree house for our sleep trigger. Then with respect to landscaping, we do have a decent listing of ground textures. Under plants, we can also use our field create to paint fields. We can paint cultivated fields, plowed fields, stubble tillage, and then ridge. And ridge is going to be the texture that you see when you plant something like potatoes. We then also have the ability to create another plowed field texture there. Now, on our first map tour, we talked about a chicken coop here around the back of the house. That has now subsequently been removed. You could put one back down here if you wanted to, but I did kind of comment that I felt it was a little narrow to get back in here with anything other than maybe a wheelbarrow in order to feed your chickens. So here at our starting farm, we do have our sleep trigger. We also have a nice dog house. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the Massey Ferguson 5S145 small tractor. We then move on to the Massey Ferguson 3670 medium tractor and our top liner Deuce Far 4090H harvester. We have the 4090H header as well as 4090H header trailer. We have the Klaas Karat 140T trailer. We have the Nordstein HK 25NS 3030 seeder and power harrow combination. We have the Mega 1200L Hardy fertilizer and herbicide sprayer. We have the ZATS 3200 Amazon fertilize spreader. We then have the Super Sis. We have the Farm Tech slurry taker right there. We have the GMT 4411 side mower as well as the Alpine Hit 4.4H tedder. We have a GA 4731 windrower as well as the Impress 125F Pro Pottinger round baler. We have the Hauer XB 145 front loader arms. For those front loader arms, we have a silage cutter, round bale fork, and manure fork. And then as far as, hold on, horses, people, hold on. As far as modified vehicles or implements, this map does not have any. Now let's talk about some other interesting new features that have been added to this map since the initial release. These stone walls. Take a look. We walk up to the wall and we'll come up to a specific point where we can, hide. They're gone. We can basically hide pretty much anything that we cannot sell. That is going to be walls. That is going to be fences. That is going to be all types of things. The key is to walk up to it, and then you're going to get a prompt, hide object, hit O, and there it goes. Hide object, hit O, there it goes. In addition, we do have, as the map described, cuttable hedges. You're going to need your chainsaw for that. And let's go ahead and come on over here to some hedgerows, and we'll kind of talk about what we're going to do here. So the easiest thing to do with respect to finding where to cut these things at is bring out your chainsaw, rotate it, and then hold it down. And then kind of walk to the side. And when you get to the magical point, well, your chainsaw is going to pop and it's going to basically do the work for you. So again, you're going to want to walk kind of on the side of the hedge, holding down the chainsaw. And when you hit the magic point, it's just going to jump and do its thing. That is the easiest way I have found in order to cut down these hedges. Coming back to our main farm, we do have the ability on all the farms to get rid of our farm clutter, as well as our buildings, with one exception. And I think there's an issue with respect to coding, because when I try to sell this, I get a Lua error in the log, and then I basically am prompted with, do you want to sell this? And it's basically an endless chain of, do you want to sell it? But no, it's not a way to get endless money, because you don't get more money after you sell it once. And that is this slurry pit. So there's something up with the coding of the slurry pit. And the slurry pit is used, I think, at least 3 times on this map. So the 3 times that you see this slurry pit, it is going to be stuck here. Like I said, I think it's a coding problem. So if we go into our build mode, we click on this, it says, do you want to sell it? I'm just going to pull up the log so you can see what happens. Yeah, I want to sell it. Boom. We get a mouse event Lua error. and then attempt to compare number with null. I don't know what any of that means, but as you can see, oh, wait, look, do you want to sell this? Yeah. It doesn't matter how many times you do this. You can do this infinitum, and you're going to get the same results. And it stays here the whole time. I think a simple update, I don't know what's involved in the update, but I think it would be a fairly simple update in order to correct this problem. So hopefully we will see that get corrected. But other than that, we have the ability to sell literally everything else. And what we can't sell, we can hide by walking up to it and hitting the O when we are prompted. Here at the starting farm, we do have a cow pasture, 500 cows in this building. And with the custom animals, we can also now put down bulls, calves, and various other animals. All of these buildings can indeed be sold, as I mentioned. We have a water trough back there. We have a silage bunker directly ahead. If you want to, you can sell the roof, or you can sell a silage bunker and keep the shed. You have a nice high roof for a bale shed. We do have our farm silo located right here. We have our output pipe. And then we have our dump point right there. Now, in addition to this cow area, we have one more is a part of the farm. It is down this road. Over the bridge. Through the fence. And this one has a bunch of calves in it. 500 calves or 500 cows are available here. We just so happen to have 20 calves. Here we have calves, heifers, Holstein cows, male calves, bulls for both Angus and Holsteins. Gone ahead and bought all of the other farmland. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what type of animals and things we have available at those. Here at our starting farm, as I mentioned, we have the large open cow pasture, and then we have a self-made cow shed. Off to the west, we have another farm, and this is going to be where our pigs are located. To the south, we have another farmland that I missed buying. And here we have cows also available. To the south, we have an arable farm, no animals. We also have another farm down here in the extreme southeast corner that is a cow farm. Just north of that, we have another arable farm that is part of Farmland 76. To the north of that, we have another arable farm that is a part of Farmland ID 70. To the north of that, we have another farm, and that one is going to be a sheep and goat farm. To the west, we have another arable farm that is located right here, kind of just west of the animal dealer. To the north, we have another arable farm with no pre-placed animals in the extreme northwest corner. And that is pretty much going to be the assembly of the various animal farms and other farms that are available here on the map. I don't think I'm going to do a drive around in this particular video because overall the map is laid out the same as it was in the original video. Some of the major takeaways is there are less animal pins on the map as there was in the original video, and that's so console players will have the ability to place additional animal pins if they wish. Up here we have the sheep and goat farm. The other big major change is that all of these buildings are now sellable with the exception of that one slurry pit that I believe we're going to find at 3 different farms. And that will likely be something that can be fixed in a future update. I'm sure it's something to do with just how the XML is coded. The first video, I also was unsure how to sell the hedges. We've now kind of demonstrated how to sell those hedges. Here we have an arable farm with just some sheds and a silo. This map includes 4 production items. We have a BGA, a dairy, spinnery, and sawmill. So here we have another one of the farms, and this one does have that slurry pit, so just be aware. That one is going to be a little problematic to get rid of. Down below we have our sawmill and our carpentry sell point. We have some sell points below. The maintenance trigger. We have our stone crusher. We have another player farm over here. As far as the scoring goes, this map is going to score better than the other map, the other video, the other iteration. So we're giving the map, again, a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such. Over here we have our vehicle dealer. And the vehicle dealer looks as if it has a fleet of Massey Fergusons that we can take advantage of. That is not correct. So sadly, while we come up to these and it says owned by you, they are not actually usable by you, sadly. Because if we tab around to our vehicles, you're going to see that we do not have access to those. We simply have the 2 tractors, the harvester, and then we do have access to a forklift here at the shop. Beside the shop, we do have a water trigger. And as you can see, we have our Elm Creek collectibles. We have our dealer trigger with marker. That is always good to see. Down here at the BGA, we do have the ability to sell everything down here. So if you wanted to sell the BGA, you do need to own it. Once you buy it, you can sell the BGA itself. You can sell the 3-sided silage bunker. You can sell the digestate tank. You can sell this 3-sided silage bunker, as well as that one, and the sheds here as well. You can also sell the light towers, so you can have an entire area down here to build out your own BGA, or maybe make this another farm, or make this a large production placeable area, whatever you really want to do. We have our main town area here. We'll loop over here to another player farm. With respect to the ability to sell our base game crops, animal outputs, and production points, we're giving the map 3/4 of a point because, for whatever reason, we've somewhere along the way lost the ability to sell grapes. And if you're playing with the seasonal growth calendar enabled, not a big deal because you can't grow them. But we do know that the game is completely loaded with options. And as such, right, you can always turn seasonal growth off. And since grapes are potentially placeable on the map, they really need to be sellable in order to get a full point there. As far as the farms being customizable, this is where the score is making a major change for the better. We're going to be giving the map a score of 3/4 of a point there. We're taking a 1/4 point off because we do have those issues with those 3 slurry tanks, but 3/4 of a point for can the farms be customizable? Because again, if the farm has walls or gates or anything else that cannot be sold, well, we can always walk up here and, well, make it go away. And at that point, we then have free reign of doing whatever we want. And that's all we can ever ask for, is to have that flexibility. If you are having issues with selling the gates, just kind of be a little patient and try to click in various areas because they will go at some point. As you can see, I can get rid of the clutter. Gone. And if you click on the right part of the gate, you will be able to get rid of it. But it can be a little tricky. You gotta get on the right corner. Get rid of that and see if we can make this happen. There you go. Like I say, you just need to be a little patient in order to get that done. With respect to buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing technique, The map is going to get half a point there. A lot of these custom buildings at these farms, they are using what appear to be more kind of older texturing techniques. They do appear to have some lower textures, some flatter textures. And while that may or may not kind of really affect your all enjoyment of the map, it is something that we do score the maps off of. So we are going to be taking a half a point off for there. If it doesn't matter to you, then fine. It doesn't matter. Right? In the end, it's what you think about the map and how well you feel you're going to enjoy the map. That is what you need to take away from these videos. Here we have the corresponding farmhouse that's associated with that. The other thing is, while we could sell a farmhouse, we could sell a sleep trigger. This parked car, it's going to be pretty much here. We can't get rid of the parked car. So as such, that kind of limits your usability of this particular space. If you wanted to maybe put a different farmhouse down, kind of had to work around the parked car being there. But this map has some absolutely lovely views. Lovely views. The majority of these fields are going to be kind of meadows, probably a 50-50 mix, I guess I should say. We have another arable farm. We have our dairy below. We have our animal dealer. We have an animal dealer sell point. We have a sell everything other than grapes sell point located here under this shed. And now we're back to our open pasture. We're back to our starting farm. The last metric that we're going to talk about is player and interactive areas being clearly marked. I feel that they are. So that's going to give this map a score of 4 out of 5. So it's bumped itself up 3/4 of a point from where it started when I did my very first video on that. And again, most of that bump up is a result of having the ability to sell our vehicles, not our vehicles, but our buildings and other such things at the various farms. Let me know, guys, what you all think of BallySpring. I know it's become quite the popular map with console players. I think it looks absolutely stunning, and anyone that likes UK or Irish maps is clearly probably going to be gravitated toward this particular map. The fact that we have the interesting new animals with respect to bulls, we have ducks, we have baby chickens, we have goats, we have just a whole bunch of other new animals for console players to experience, because this is going to be the first time that I believe they have had the ability to have these custom animals. PC players were a little spoiled. We get a lot of these cool new features early on. As such, we kind of get used to those features and kind of start taking those features for granted. And it really helps kind of solidify when you see console players get these things for the very first time and just see how they embrace those and how they just kind of leap towards those features as being, you know, the next big thing. And it's really fun to watch that. So I'm a big proponent of kind of cross-platform being level, and I hope we see more of those features coming soon.